Welcome to the Encouragement Zone with Bishop T. Davis Jr. where your dreams are revived.
Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. Get up, get your coffee, get ready. You're fixing to get a treat today. This is the Encouragement Zone. We have a special guest today. My good friend from all the way back, way back. Minister, elder-elect. He is a part-time policeman. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Bobby Diggs. Glad to have you, Minister Diggs.
Good to be here. Good to be here, Bishop Davis.
Well, we're going to get into something real good. Before we go to our break, we're going to have a short break, and we're going to ask Minister Diggs to give us what he's going to talk about today.
Okay. Well, today I'm going to talk about complying. And what I mean by that is when we have traffic stops, we have to know how to conduct ourselves, when we're in that situation. So I'm going to go over some things, that will hopefully help our young African-American males as well as others out.
Yes, sir. Well, this is great information. We hope you call some parents and some of your friends, even some of your young people. And we're going to take a break right now, and we will be back. And Mr. D is going to share this information with us.
Come see us at Royalty Funnel Cakes and More in Decatur, Alabama, 1614 Beltline Road. Mondays we're closed, Tuesday and Wednesday from 11 to 8, Thursday through Saturday 11 to 9. Come try one of our famous funnel cakes. We have 3 different sizes, 3, 6, and 8 inch. If you'd like to place an order, please give us a call, 256-822-2205.
Okay, we're back. The Encouragement Zone, Mr. Bobby Diggs. And Mr. Diggs, we're just going to jump right in on what you are going to do to try to help us keep, especially young black men, but all young people alive when they stop by the police.
Okay.
All right.
So comply, it's about living to see another day, and also the purpose of this comply initiative is to educate citizens as well as our African-American young males, probably from the age of 12 all the way up to 35, how to properly respond and conduct themselves during encounters with law enforcement, and also how to handle the police misconduct during and after it occurs. Because, see, sometimes you may get arrested and you don't know what to do after that arrest.
That's right. That's right.
So you got the law is on your side. So there are several laws, that controls or mandates, what a police officer can do and can't do. So if you are arrested, it's not the end of the world. You have the opportunity to have your day in court, and when you have your day in court, and if the judge or lawyer, whomever representing you, they find out these police officers are not following the law, then you're going to come out on top. Mm-hmm. But you got to live in order to get to court. You got to live to see another day.
That's right. And I like that, Minister D, live to see another day, even if you're wrong.
Even if you're
in the wrong, you can't do anything if you did.
Absolutely.
Whether you're right or wrong.
Absolutely.
So let's tell our audience and parents and everyone else who's listening, how do we make it to see that other day alive?
How do we make it to see another day? First of all, you've got to know your rights. Mm-hmm. You've got to know your rights, and you've got to be educated enough to know how to conduct yourself when you're stopped, by a police officer. And I think that's the biggest problem right there. We're not educated. We're not educated on the law. We're not educated what we're supposed to do when we have a traffic stop, and we're not educated on what we're supposed to have when we have a traffic stop.
Right. Oh, yeah, share that. Yeah.
You need to make sure your license are updated. You need to make sure you don't have any warrants out there.
Oh, man, that's a big one.
You need to make sure, hey, get off the cell phone. Pay attention. Be cognizant of your surroundings. Just be aware of what's going on during that time. Because, see, a lot of people, when they're stopped by police, first thing they do is panic.
Yeah.
And when you panic, you subject make sudden moves and all these things. You subject to do things that's not necessary.
You're right. You said panic.
Yes.
And I've been in those situations back in the day. Those who heard my testimony know that I have been stopped many times, been in many jails. But there is a uneasiness when that light comes on.
It is. It is.
Whether you're right or wrong, there's an uneasiness, and it can give sometimes that bad cops and good cops.
Yeah.
It can give a bad police a reason to go farther.
Right.
Yes.
It can because, you have a lot of police officers out there that they're looking for an opportunity to introduce African American into the penal system.
Yes, sir.
And when I say penal system, I mean the criminal justice system. Mm-hmm. And that's their goal. That's their goal because let me say this: you have good cops and you have bad cops. And but that bad cop, they will kind of mess it up for everybody,
Right.
But you have to, like I say, it goes back to rights. You've got to know you got to know your rights. You got to know how to conduct yourself in any situation. I don't care whether it's good or bad.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned something too about have everything in order.
Yeah.
Your paperwork, your insurance, your license updated. Make sure your lights are working.
Right.
Brake lights.
Absolutely.
Any reason that they would stop you, you want to make sure that you don't give them a reason to stop
Absolutely.
you. And
Absolutely.
then go farther with that.
Okay. So and like I say, when you're stopped, the first thing you need to do is stop ASAP.
Right.
I know that.
Yeah.
I know that. Now that things are a little sensitive. But you need to, and we want to pull over in a lighted area. Mm-hmm. But if you're on a country road, you're just going. The longer you drive, the more frustrated that officer becomes. So if you're on a country road and it's not a store or a lighted area within 3 or 4 miles, you need to go ahead and stop. I know that's tough, but you need to. But also, keep your hand visible.
Okay.
Where the officer can see. Good. Keep your hand visible at all times, and don't dictate the traffic stop. Don't tell officer what he should do or what he shouldn't do, but just comply with what he's asking you to do.
So the word comply, that means what? Just kind of come in agreement?
Comply simply means to follow a wish or command.
Okay.
That's plain and simple. You can't get no there's
get
no
no
black or white.
Yeah.
Hey, just plain and simple, man.
So if they ask you for your license, give them your license.
Give them your license, whatever. So can I tell you what really prompted me to do this initiative?
Share that. Yes.
So when all these police officer encounters were going on, between you had your George Floyd, your Breonna Taylors, and all this. When all this was going on, it really got my attention.
Right.
It really got my attention. But what really defined the moment was, George Floyd. That was heinous,
that was defining moment.
But what really got my attention is when Jacob Blake, the young man from, I want to say he was from Wisconsin, the one they shot in the back, several times, but he didn't die, but he's paralyzed. And also Rashad Brooks, that was the young man from Atlanta that was at the drive-through. And then again, Dante Wright, the young man that they had stopped and the police officer thought they had a taser. And shot him, So that really resonated with me, and it got me to thinking, I'm like, man, all they had to do was comply. Mm-hmm. If they would have just simply complied, they would have lived to see another day.
Yeah, because I heard, I did hear one of my white brothers, and I think people really believe this, that if you run, you're guilty. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're guilty. That means you could be afraid.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But people can say, well, they're running, so I have a right to shoot them. That's not right at all. Right. By God's law, not man's law. Right. But what do you do in a situation when you are stopped and you might not have your license, you might have expired license, you might have warrants, and your first instinct is to get away?
Okay.
Now that can be dangerous.
That's why we have the police killings, and that's why we have all these altercations, and that's where it starts, right there. That's where it is dangerous, and that's where it starts. But we have to remember, police officers have computers in their vehicles, and what I've witnessed, on traffic stop is the fact that when we stop, the majority of the young people that we stop, they lie. They lie about their age, they lie about their names, and even if they don't have identification, it's a way, that the police officer can find out who you are with these computers. You can't fool these computers. No. So the best thing to do is to tell the truth. That is the best thing to do, to tell the truth, because soon, if they run your record, they're going to find out if you're lying or not. Right. So tell the truth and comply and be courteous to the police officers. See, another thing is your initial response to that officer, it really sets the tone as to how that arrest is going to go or how that traffic stop is going to go. So be courteous. Yes, sir, officer. No, sir, officer. And you be surprised how much respect you will gain from that police officer. Even if it's a bad police officer, they may have intentions of taking you to jail, but you can't beat love, man. You can't beat love, man. So, I encourage people, to, just be polite to them.
You said something. We're going to talk about this a little bit, go on a break. Okay. But good home training. Home training. There were times I was stopped, and I deserved to go to jail. I had some juice. You know what juice is. And I yes, sir, the police. I yes, sir, no, sir. The whole 9 yards. And a lot of times that did give me some leeway. I'm not saying I was right.
Absolutely.
But it is in the way that you respond, and even if you're right, sometimes you have to do that to live.
Absolutely.
To see another day.
Absolutely. So Bishop, I was discussing that, what really encouraged me to do this initiative piece, and one was the influence of, the young men that did not comply. They ran, or they were fighting the officer, or whatever, and they were killed in the process. And another thing is, when I first start looking into this, I start looking at statistics, and what I found out was that really got my attention is white people make up 72% of the American population. 72% of the American population versus blacks make up 15% of the American population. But 48% of blacks are being killed versus 5% of whites being killed by the police. 48% versus 5% whites. Parents need to know. They need to know how to start talking to their young black males, at home. Because what happens is, another thing I found out is, when you're in an environment or you're in a family and they've had negative dealings with law enforcement your life, when you become old enough to drive, when you become age enough to drive, when you get your 16, when you get your license, first thing you're going to do when you're in the traffic stop, you're going to have a negative thing about the police officers too. So it starts at home. That's what I'm trying to say. Everything starts at home. So until the parents start conveying to these kids that, hey, how to conduct themselves during traffic stop and how to deal with law enforcement officer, it's not going to get any better. It's not going to get any better.
Live to see another day.
Yes.
Whether you're right or wrong, you got to stay alive.
Yes.
And those statistics are real.
They are real.
Yes,
sir.
They're not going to change overnight.
Right.
So who can make the difference? Who can make the difference in keeping these young black men, mostly is those are the ones who are killed between the ages of, I think it went up to 35.
Yeah.
Like keeping them alive. You mentioned home training, but then when you're in it, your instincts kick in. Absolutely. So we have to really do what Mr. Diggs to. What's the most important thing? You said comply, and I guess that's what it is. Compliance will keep you alive.
Compliance will keep you alive. And like I said, the most important thing about compliance is education. You got to educate yourself. You've got to know what to do. And Hillary Clinton said it takes a village to raise a child.
Right.
So it's going to take a village to turn this situation around. It's going to take your churches,
Right.
your schools,
Right.
all your community and civic organizations. They need to pitch in, and they need to start. And it is a concern. They need to start helping our young African American men learn how to conduct themselves, doing traffic stops and even other things,
Right,
just
right.
how to conduct themselves as an individual,
Right, right.
But like I say, everything starts at home, and it is a community affair on how whether these young men live or die.
Right. And you mentioned churches because many men may not have had a father in the home.
Right.
And so the churches have to step up, not just churches, organizations.
Right.
Not just churches, but step up and be a mentor
Right.
to young men.
Absolutely.
Because it's more, I wish you had a statistic, you probably don't have it before you, but more young black men are killed than young black women, I'm sure.
I don't
That's
have
probably
that statistic,
true.
but yet that is definitely true.
It would be safe to say that.
Yes, absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. As a matter of fact, I got a statistic here. Over a 4-year period, there were 421 whites that were killed over a 4-year period. And just remember the population of the whites,
Right,
72%,
72%.
72%. But there were 227 blacks being killed per year over that 4-year period. So that right there is still alarming. When you think about the 72% versus the 15%, that's still alarming. That's still way too many black men that are being killed. In America today.
It is.
So what we can do, like I said, back to the education side of things. You're a pastor, I'm a minister, and we need to talk about these things in church.
right.
I mean, if you got young people, a lot of things we take for granted, Bishop, but we need to talk about these things in church as well as at home. We need to influence these parents to talk about these things. A lot of this stuff is embedded and people don't want to talk about it, but we got to
Right.
if you're concerned about our young African American men.
Right. And like Michelle Obama said, it is what it is.
It is.
So we're here. That's where we are.
Yeah.
And what can we do to make it better? And I think you have a plan to make this better, to do something about it. If you keep one alive, it's worth it.
It is.
If you can save
Yes.
one life, it's worth it.
Yes.
And I want to say this too before you get into what God has given you to do.
Okay.
Once you get a record, whether it's a DUI, a drug deal, or resisting arrest, I didn't know it was that big of a deal. Resisting arrest, it kind of follows you. You're going to one day want to get a good job. You're going to want to have an interview. You don't want that on your record.
Right.
And so share with us some things that God has given you to help, not just black young men, but proportionally we're in a worse situation than in other races. Yes.
Well, this is one of the things right here. This Comply initiative. What I want to do right now. I want to go out into the communities. I want to go out into the churches. I want to go into organizations and share this.
Right.
Share this because
right.
it has been talked about. I've seen it talked about on TV, but it's not talked about enough in our communities.
Right.
So God just put it on my heart to, and I don't charge nothing. Hey, anybody that want me to come out and talk about this, hey, just you'll have a phone call, my contact information. But hey, just call me, and I'll be more than happy to come out because, like you said, if we can just save one life.
One life.
If we can prevent one bad traffic stop, it's worth it.
Right,
It's worth it,
right,
man.
right.
And also, this initiative is about showing you how to lawfully conduct yourself,
Right.
as far as biblically conduct
Come on,
yourself.
come on.
When we talk about traffic stops, and when we talked about how to conduct yourself, doing these traffic stops, it judicially we have a moral obligation to obey the law.
Right.
And biblically, we have a moral obligation to obey the law. Let me tell you what it says in Romans 13, 1 and 2. It says, everyone must submit to governing authorities, for all authorities come from God, and those in positions of authority have been placed there by God. So anyone who rebels against authority is rebelling against what God has instituted, and they will be punished. So, and that applies to law enforcement as well as citizens.
It does.
Because see, law enforcement officers, yeah, they've got the badge, they've got the guns, they've got the cars, but yet and still, they got policies and procedures too. They got bosses too that implement these policies and tell them they're supposed to abide by these policies.
Right.
So when they break them, they are breaking the law as well.
Right. They're on a double, kind of like a pastor, we call it to a double standard.
Absolutely.
Because they got to obey God's law and the law of the land.
Absolutely.
But if you get a bad one, and I'm not saying that all of them are bad, but if you get a bad one, then you still want to live. Mm-hmm. You might even have to endure disrespect.
Right.
You know, man, they might call you a boy. You're 30 years old. But I'm not saying that's the norm, but it's possible.
It's possible.
And I'm just saying, staying alive is the thing. Mm-hmm. And that's that's your mission. That's the vision God has given you. Mm-hmm. You understand the law. You've been trained. Mm-hmm. And now you're going to start doing this real soon.
Yes.
And how can someone tap into your resources?
How can someone tap? I haven't gotten anything online or anything like that, nor on social media right now. So the only way right now that you can tap into it is by calling me.
And you're going to get that information on the screen.
I will have that information, on the screen. So that is the main resource right now. Just give me a call and, hey, we'll talk. And if you want me to come out, hey, we can do that. Even if you want me to send you information, I'll share some information with you. Right. It doesn't matter, because my main goal is to save a life.
That's right.
That's my main goal, and whatever I have to do that, I will do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I definitely want you to come to Wheeler Chapel,
okay.
And I want you to come, and I want you to share in-depth information that you have. And I know others out there listening today will tap into you. You're in a unique position, Mr.
Okay.
D. You're a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ. You've been trained as a police officer.
Okay.
And you, like me, back in the day, you have been stopped by the police.
Oh, my God.
So you can give a whole roundness, a wholeness of this situation.
That's right.
From God's point of view, from how someone who had never been to church, what can you do to stay alive?
That's right.
Because that's the key. You can't get people saved if they're dead.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So
that's right.
I am very excited about what you're doing. I thank God that you're not a sit-down person. You're a man of action.
I am. I'm very involved with my community.
That's right.
I'm very involved with civic organizations, because, man, I love my community. I love my church. I love people, and I want to see people do well.
That's
I don't care what color they are, black, white, green, yellow, blue. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I just want to see people do well, and anything that I can do to assist or help, hey, I'm going to do it. I'm retired now. I got plenty of time on my hands, so hey, I don't like to be still, like you say. So anything I can do to help, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And through this initiative, I think it's going to open some doors, and it's going to allow me, to do the things that I need to do. And I think I'm in a unique position,
right?
Because see, I'm on the law enforcement side, I'm on the citizen side, so I'm standing in that gap. I can create a balance right there.
Right.
And I'm gonna tell you this: if you're wrong, I'm gonna let you know you're wrong. If you're right, I'll let you know you're right. I have nothing to lose.
That's right.
Nothing to lose. I'm on nobody's payroll.
Right. No agendas.
No agendas.
What I like about it, Mr. D, that you a fair person. And like you said, you're going to tell people the truth.
Yes.
And we're going to believe God that lives are going to be saved through this initiative. Yes. And I believe, Mr. D, that no one is too far away for you to come to. If you're able to listen to this broadcast, we on Fox 54. It goes all over North Alabama, some in Southern Tennessee. I believe you'll come to them.
I will.
Yeah,
I will.
Yeah,
I may not go to Ohio, but
but you'll go to Tennessee, right?
I go to Tennessee.
It's been a blessing. It has been a blessing to have you on, and I know you have children and you have a family. You want to see your grandchildren. You want to see
Absolutely.
your family, and you don't want them to be cut off. You know, my wife and I have a 13-year-old. He'll be 13 by the time this come on, almost. But I want him to understand how important it is to comply.
That's right.
Because we're not going to be with them all the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sometimes they're going to be out there driving by themselves
Absolutely.
or with their friends.
Okay. So I have a son. He's a state probation parole officer. But when he pulls that uniform off, he's just another black African American. That's it.
Right.
So am I concerned about him?
Yes,
I am,
yeah.
as well as our other young men. I'm concerned about them all. And I was having a conversation with a politician one day, and he was telling me, you know, y'all make a big deal out of, you know, talking to your sons about traffic stops, you know, and how they supposed to conduct themselves. He said, I talk to my son too. I said, well, let me tell you something. I said, you talk to your son based on being courteous.
Right.
I talk to my son because I want him to live to see another
you want
day.
them to live, right.
It's totally different
Yeah.
how you talk to your son, how I talk to my
That's
son.
right. That's
because,
right.
see, statistics proves that we've got to talk to ours.
We have to.
We've got to educate ours.
right. That's
We've
right.
got to. There's no other way.
That's right. And if you're a mother, you got to talk to your son just like you would a father. If you don't have if they don't have a father in the home, this is for everyone, and we need this. We need this. But if you can make a difference, make a difference. You know, we go back to George Floyd. He wasn't driving.
Right.
He wasn't driving, but still, he wound up dead by the hands of a police.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
and I'm not. We didn't come to debate that right now. It's very sad the way it happened.
It is.
But how can we even, when a person may need to be arrested, but they don't need to die?
They don't need to die.
You know, they don't deserve to die.
They don't deserve to die. And our best opportunity of staying alive and living to see the next day is simply complying. I mean, you go back to your George Floyd.
Right.
What if he would have just simply complied? You go back to your Rashad Brooks, which he was complying, but then he had that flight instinct in him,
Right.
and he ran.
Right.
You go back to Dante Wright. You know, they were actually handcuffing him, and what happened was he heard one of the police officers say he had a warrant.
Right.
When he heard warrant,
When he heard that,
turned
yeah,
into a flight.
fear.
Fear
Yeah.
set in, yes.
Yeah.
But just think, all three of those situations, if they would have just simply complied, they would be here today.
Okay. The name of your organization, one more time.
It is Comply.
Initiative.
The Comply Initiative.
Right. And you'll be able to get in touch with Minister Bobby Diggs. You'll see the information on the screen. Give him a call. He's very polite. He'll answer you or call you back. And we want you to stay alive to see another day.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Minister Diggs. Been a blessing, bro.
Hey,
Been a blessing.
absolutely.
And thank you for coming on. Hope this won't be the last time.
Yeah.
This is the Encouragement Zone. And we thank you for tuning in. Be blessed and enjoy the rest of your day.
We hope you were blessed by this program, and it's our prayer you were encouraged. Join us again next on The Encouragement Zone with Bishop T. Davis Jr., where your dreams are revived. Be blessed and see you next time.